Hello, everyone. Reverend Dr. K here. I wanted to wish you many blessings on your day and welcome you to my new channel. You may be here just by chance by the name Bagel Church and was intrigued by that and wanted to check it out. I basically wanted to create a new channel where I could speak openly about where I see God at work in day-to-day life. And I wanted a place to be able to share that with others and hopefully encourage your spirit and give you a little nugget to help start your day in a very positive way and have a more real sense of God's presence among us. Like God, Emmanuel, right? God with us. So I'm going to be sharing some personal stories on this channel and making hopefully God more real and not so out there, but here among us in ways that I sense the Holy Spirit at work in my personal life. And for me, I guess this is going to be my church. If I have to use that word, um, yes, I am an ordained minister and have my doctorate of ministry. But when I went back to school to get my education, it made me realize that I am an out of the box kind of pastor. I did not really want to work in the, four walls of the traditional church. So I know young people have a hard time even with the word church. I kind of do now too as well because I think we're more of a faith community that's very eclectic. We come from all different kind of backgrounds, and I think when we can come to an understanding of one another, even with people who don't look like us or have the same religious background or whatever, God can move and work, even in unbelievers, I believe. So I prefer to be a pastor in community. And maybe that has to do with the name again, Bagel Church. I'll explain that a little bit. I've been a little unconventional in the way that I've been involved with young people in community. And the first time was Impact Faith Community that I created in my home, where I met with young people ages 17 to 27. We were in my home. We met at the local community college. We met at the local coffee shop, that kind of thing. And what we gathered for was to create community that looked very diverse and just to see what God would do. How would God build the community? So all I would do is show up, basically, and pray and see who God brought to the table. It was a really exciting place to be in seeing how God works in community. So one of the things I would do, this is back in Kansas, by the way. So what I would do is every week I would sit up at the local community college twice a week for lunch for a couple of hours. Just go up there. I sat down at a table. I would start to pray. I was just like, God, whoever you lead, to the table today, I'll be open to your leading. And I cannot tell you, hopefully I will share some of those stories with you because it was a very exciting thing that God did, and the community out there was very diverse and very interesting what God did in just the building of community, where I went without an agenda, without a plan, without any pre conceived notions of, it's going to look like this and it's going to be like this. No. I just basically showed up and prayed and said, okay, God, you're leading this. Show me what to do next. And it was a very exciting time. And I'll share more of that with you in future videos. But for the first one, I wanted to get to the title, Bagel Church. So I made a move from Kansas to Baltimore, Maryland after doing this in-home faith community with young people in Kansas for 3 years. And I said, okay, Lord, what is next? And I thought, well, where are the young people? Oh, they'd probably be at the local bagel shop before they have to go to college classes or whatever. So I went into the local bagel shop and decided to call that Bagel Church. And then I sat up there for a couple hours every week. Again, just sat and prayed and watched and observed and see who God brought across my path. And then I would blog about my experiences there. I did this for a year. And it was really interesting, again, what God had in store because um, I thought that I would be making relationships with the students from the local community colleges that came in there and ordered and would sit and eat. Of course, God had something else in mind. The relationships that I built were actually with the young people who worked at the bagel shop. And that was a wonderful experience. And I still have a relationship with a couple of them to this day over social media because I've moved on and they've moved on. But it was a very special time in my life. So I'm a very unconventional kind of pastor. And here I am trying to use social media for the next stage of ministry for me, and decided to kind of keep that name of Bagel Church because I think it's kind of it perks people's ears up and they're like, what's that? But I think it's the practicality of the name, the fact that I can sit here with my tea and you sitting there eating your bagel because I'm gluten free. I would be eating a gluten free bagel. uh, we could just sit here as if we're in our living rooms having a conversation together over tea and a bagel and discussing, having conversation about what God is at work doing in our everyday lives. And so I want this channel just to be very down to earth, very practical, an uplifting time of sharing the amazingness of how God meets us where we are. And it doesn't have to be in church on Sunday morning. Don't let anybody else hear you say that. Don't share that I said that, right, as a pastor. But no, I'm very unconventional. I'd prefer to be sitting here with you, discussing God in a very practical, real, day-to-day way, where God is real and shows up and cares and loves about, you know, what we're about and where we are in life. Um, and not having to conform, right? A lot of traditional church stuff is about conformity and doesn't leave room for much creativity. I feel like my God is bigger. The world is bigger. For me, God so loved the world. God did not so love the church, period, and that's it. God so loved this world. So my God is much bigger, and that's where I prefer to be and to serve and to be within community. So my goal is to make this channel very personable. Sit down, bring your tea or coffee with you when you view. Bring a bagel. Maybe even share with me what kind of bagels you love. Again, mine have to be gluten-free. But come join me at Bagel Church and let me just share some real life stories with you that hopefully will encourage you in your journey and help us all grow in our spiritual walk with God among us. And I just wish you many blessings on this day, and I hope I see you again.